Back to an attempt to typing the Ninja Turtles. So we've already broken down Michelangelo, Donatello, and Leo and Raph yesterday. Leo and Raph, so these were the two that we did first. We called Leo an INFJ. I don't know how okay that is. And then Raph, because he loves his toys, because he has anger issues, because he lets his emotions lead, because he has a lot of overthinking going on. That's why he gets beat up on the rooftop. And also, I like to, so I called Raph an ISTP, putting his introverted thinking in front, but I am not very good at these things, so I need a lot of help with Raphael and Leonardo. But when it comes to Donnie and Mikey, they're pretty much standard NT and SF types. This guy right here is SF with extroverted sensing and introverted feeling. That's very obvious. I put introverted thinking and extroverted sensing in Raph's thing because they seem to get along well together. Plus, their bandanas kind of reflect their. When it comes to Don, he's obviously an NTJ. It just is a matter of whether he uses his NI for his TE or whether he uses his TE for his NI. I think he should be an ENTJ instead of an INTJ, but that's all. So we got two NIs in the selection process so far. We got Leo and Donatello in NI because you can't spell ninja without NI or J, you know. I meant to do a lot of jokes in the previous couple videos, but I couldn't get to that. So why am I talking about the Ninja Turtles? Yeah, this is basically my oldest obsession with, as of 2021, 2022, my newest obsession, the MBTI cognitive functions thing. Well, I'm talking about the Ninja Turtles because I run a page on the Ninja Turtles on my Facebook, and it's pretty big actually. And I just can't stop talking about the Ninja Turtles. I should just rename my handle to Ninja Turtles guy or something. But then there's a lot of that going on, especially old Turtle Den. I love them. That guy is like really good at providing information about all the missing episodes and stuff. I think it's an official channel run by Eastman himself, maybe. The only things in life that stay constant, the only things that are guaranteed, there are two things. One is that the Ninja Turtles would never leave you. No matter who else does, the Ninja Turtles will always stick with you. And the other thing that is very guaranteed in life is that change is the only constant, or, things change, which brings us to today's topic, Muster Splinter. Well, actually, I decided I would do. I decided I was gonna do Kraang first. So Kraang is an interesting one because he's just a brain without a body, but you underestimate how crazy this guy can be. And all right, so who is Kraang? Let's get a definition. And yeah, I apologize for the form of the video. Like, you were supposed to see a lot of pictures, and now there's like reflections on the screen and everything. I couldn't get it to work. So yeah, the Kraang. Who are the Kraang? The Eutromes, as they're called. Originally, in the 1987 cartoon, he was the guy from Dimension X. He was kind of the ruler of Dimension X, who was stranded on this planet and bossing Shredder around with that annoying voice, that sort of thing. But in the comics and in the 2012 series, the Eutromes were a highly intelligent race, sort of a hive mind. Sometimes you do find eutromes that are unique and individual, like the Shredder one and all that, but we're gonna consider the Kraang to be very similar to what we saw in the Nickelodeon cartoon. Everybody just talks in the same way. They're just like, business suits and pretty cookie cutter robot type of thing, like the foot soldiers, except they got like a couple of them who are really in charge and everything. This is the story of the villains micro series. That's where this comes from. And wait, what just happened? Oh crap! So anyway, if you read the, I lost the video. I lost the visuals, but as you could already see, Kraang was very good with tools. He's just a brain that's floating around, and it's hard to actually type the brains because they could be intuitive or sensing. I want to say that Kraang, the boss that you see right in front of you, is very SE, because although he's just a blob of a brain on, walking stilts, robot stilts, he is very hands-on. He's got two tentacles always looking around for something, and if he actually touches something, he's very dangerous. So he's good with tools. We're going to call him an SE and T, but he could also be an intuitive T. All right, so now to... this is kind of stupid, but I think I could agree with this. There's a lot of this going on, and everybody's opinion is everybody's opinion. Who is actually good? Is it Shredder or Splinter? You can't really tell whether this one's good or this one's bad, because, if you really think about it, Splinter's just organizing a family feud. It's a gang war. It's a turf war. It's between one family that belonged to Hamato Yoshi, and then one family that is, Foot Clan and Orokusaki, the Sakis and everything. So you can't really say that Splinter's motives are good. Splinter is just as evil as the Shredder, but it just turns out good for him because Shredder is actually on the evil side. He's on the, chaotic, power-mongering side. He just wants to win and everything. So Splinter's goals just end up... his means and his ends are justified because Shredder is an evil guy. But he doesn't do it because of him. Alright, so Splinter, we're going to consider him... What are we going to consider him? Are we going to consider him a man who became a rat, or are we going to consider him a rat? That is the question. All right, so this is what we're going to do. First of all, we're going to get out of the light because there's too much reflection there. All right. We're still getting reflection, so I'm afraid we can't do that. This is actually one of the first scenes I remember from the TV series. I managed to track it down. This is Splinter telling Michelangelo to fix a light bulb because Michelangelo is very SE. He's getting distracted by everything. And Splinter's like, you need to control yourself. Don't touch my things. He's very SI in this situation. So I'm going to consider Splinter to have some sort of SI. And I'm going to make him an ST directly, because he's so good with the weapons. Like, he's at one point in the 2012 series, he ends up fighting the Ninja Turtles. I think he's under the spell of the Rat King at that moment. And he tells the Ninja Turtles, everything you know, I have taught, but you don't know everything I know. You know what I'm saying? He is the master of the ninjas. And here we have something very, very complicated, because while the Ninja Turtles are just teenagers by default, or maybe young men at some point, and in some of the tales of the Ninja Turtles, you see a 40-year-old or middle-aged Leonardo. You see four Leonardos. One is young, one is current, one is older. One is from the future, actually, and you do see turtles at different ages in different time hopping events, but most of the time they're either teenagers or just a little bit older, as in the 2007 one, which we used for the other ones, the other couple of videos that we did. But Splinter is an older man, plus he meditates a lot, plus he is a ninja master. He's so aware of himself. Look at the Book of Five Rings, look at it. And he comes from Japanese culture, which I think is something that is very different from what a lot of us have experienced. Like, I'm not from a Western culture, but still, I grew up in a world that was influenced by a lot of Western. I mean, I was watching the Ninja Turtles as a kid. You know what I mean? So when you consider, so this is a Japanese person living in New York, and all right, so the Japanese people, what kind of default personalities would you give a Japanese person, just any regular Japanese person, or all of them together? They're very technologically advanced, and you would consider sometimes that they should be INTJs or NEs, very intuitive thinking, nerdy types or whatever. But that's not, you can't really say that about people, you know? It's a whole nation, and there's a lot of SF things going on as well, because, you know, they got superstitious folktale, fairy tale stuff like Inuyasha and all the feudal demon stuff, which, you know, I think that's more of F. And like yesterday when we were talking about Leonardo, we kind of talked about how Leonardo was, you know, fighting with instinct, a martial art bread and butter thing. I think that's gotta be FE. So we're gonna try to put SI and FE into Master Splinter. We're also gonna try to put some intuition in there, because I think at this point, so you're supposed to have 4 cognitive functions, 2 in front that you're good at, and 2 at the bottom that you're bad at, and you're usually gonna despise everything in that you can do. All right, so you're not gonna be able to do certain things, and you're gonna disrespect some of your lower functions. I think at Master Splinter's age, he's gonna be well aware of everything that he can and can't do. And he's gonna, so when he taught the turtles, I think he might have tried to hone the stronger abilities of some of them, or he might have tried to, like, you know, repair some of the bad things, some of the weaknesses, so that they would balance out. For example, in Michelangelo's case, because he's very SE, very distracted and everything, it's like, yeah, okay, you could use that, but also you know, try to control it a little bit and balance yourself out. In the case of Raphael, he's got TI in the lead. I mean, I gave him TI in the lead, and if he has TI in the lead, he's got FE towards the bottom, maybe 4th, maybe 3rd. So his anger issues and everything, or maybe it's FI that he has, that he doesn't like to show other people, that maybe he despises FI and, you know, feelings, whatever. Or maybe the reason Raphael and Leonardo are not getting along is because Raphael has TI on top and FE on the bottom. And if Leonardo is INFJ, INFJ is kind of like, you know, the rarest thing which everybody wants to be and everything. So that's why I called him an INFJ. It's a pretty special type of MBTI. That's what everybody wants to be or wants to show they are. So the INFJ or the ENFJ, the leader, the protagonist is, in some cases, they would have FE in front and TI on the bottom. So I think that's what leads to the clashes between Raphael and Leonardo. It makes sense. So Splinter would advise Raphael to use his anger when he fights, or you know, ask Michelangelo to calm down a little bit. Donatello's fine. Okay, you keep fixing things. We're not going to work on your social ability or anything. You are an asset to the team already. You just keep fixing things and making new things, that sort of thing. Leonardo, all right, so he's got NI and FE. That's pretty good functions altogether over there, so you keep doing that. But I think Splinter is actually most like Raphael because I'm gonna make him an ST, although he has to have high intuition as well because he's always meditating and everything. But thing about meditation is you don't have to do meditation in one posture in the same way as everyone else. You don't have to sit down for meditation every time. You could use motion and movement for meditation. You could empty your thoughts through movement, or you could think deeply while you're moving. There's different ways. So Master Splinter's tried every one of those. Master Splinter taught the turtles how to use a bow staff, how to use a sai or a sword, but Master Splinter can use all of those. Bow staff or bow and arrow, as seen in Secret of the Ooze, when he rescues the turtles from Super Shredder's trap. Well, he's not the Super Shredder yet. The return of Shredder. So the return psychotic Shredder's trap. He shoots a bow and arrow. Classic scene. And he's been seen to use a naginata, I think. He can basically use anything. And one of the advices that Splinter gives the turtles is that a ninja has to be a master of his surroundings, whatever toy, whatever weapon that is. Just pick up a chair and throw it, or break the chair into pieces so that you can use it in a different way. How do you use a weapon for defense? How do you use a weapon for offense? All of these things, this is knowledge, some of it. But his personality-wise, he's very organized. He doesn't leave the lair. He likes to stay in one place. I'm pretty sure he's... so that's very SI. We're gonna give Splinter SI lead. And if you're gonna use SI lead, that is a J. So I'm gonna call him ISTJ. Very introverted, obviously, not extroverted much. All the other Ninja Turtles, you could argue whether they're extroverted or introverted, which comes first and all. All right, so I was gonna do the Shredder as well. I'm just gonna tell you, if I do Shredder, I just want you to know that I'm gonna consider breaking him into two pieces, like the human half that is inside the shell. Oh yeah, so remember how we said Donatello was an INTJ and Michelangelo was an ESFP? I was going to say one of them is pretty into his shell and the other one was already out of his shell. But I couldn't do that. So anyway, that's Type in the Ninja Turtles. So the Shredder, we're going to consider the boy who was Orokusaki, whose whole life changed on the funeral, on the death day of his brother Orokunagi. There's vengeance on both sides. Master Splinter is very vengeful as well, at least at the very beginning. But, you could argue that he's just fighting the fight now, not for Hamato Yoshi, for the citizens of New York, for people like April. We're not going to talk about April and Casey Jones, because Casey Jones is pretty much Raphael. I think they bond well together because they're pretty much the same personality and everything. So Raphael is an ISTP, Splinter is an ISTJ. They're both sensory thinkers, but they're different types of sensory thinkers. And I just want to make things looking through these characters actually help us understand the MBTI system more. That's why I'm doing the TMNT and MBTI, and the turtles are just a great example because there's only 4 of them. There's not a huge mix, and these 4 turtles we've been with for years and years. They've been getting updated. Their characters have been developing, getting stronger only. Plus, Well, I mean, it's easy to focus. It's easy to focus. We might start doing stuff like I want to do Avatar, both Aang and Korra, all the characters from Aang and Korra at once, do the elements, the non-benders. That's going to be my next one. And hopefully we're going to get into Marvel and DC stuff at a later time, like all the big superhero stuff. But that's going to be a long way from now because we got to take steps, enough small steps so that we understand what we're talking about. And I got to get better at making the videos. Also, the Shredder, as I was saying. The boy Orokusaki, the human side, that he had a traumatic event. So when you have traumatic events, it's kind of easier to type them and also harder to type them. The Ninja Turtles, they grew up with trauma every day. They just didn't realize that they were getting traumatized because they had nothing to compare it to. Splinter had an equal traumatic day. Splinter's trauma and the Shredder's trauma, I would say, started at the same time because Tang Sheng was murdered by Orokusaki's brother, right? And Hamato Yoshi killed him. All of this happened at the same time, but, Orokusaki, he overcame everything that happened to him and killed Hamato Yoshi, and Splinter was affected by that. So I think Splinter's big moment was when the Shredder killed Hamato Yoshi. Hamato Yoshi and the rat, they're two different things. In some versions they're the same, in some versions they're not. But you could consider that just like how we say that the ooze transforms you into the thing that you were closest to physically in real life, you could say that the animal's personality is going to be copied from the human. So Hamato Yoshi and Splinter, they're different bodies, but because sometimes children copy from adults or because animals copy from people, you could kind of claim that Hamato Yoshi lives through Splinter. But in the case of the Shredder, he was molded into what he is now by the Foot Clan. So the guy in the armor, he cares a lot about success. He doesn't give a shit about morals and ethics. Now, in the case of Splinter, it's hard to type him as a thinker or a feeler because I think he has to be a feeler. He does care about values and morals and everything. Or does he? That's the big question there. Like, maybe he projects that maybe you think that he's a good guy because he's fighting on the good side. But anyways, the Shredder, he is not a feeler himself. I would call him an intuitive thinker, but maybe he's an ST. Maybe Splinter and Shredder should be the same kind. That's what I was thinking. Also, I drew some pictures, so we're going to talk about that right now. So this is Donatello the Nerd and Raphael on his bike. This is basically from 2007. This is Leo stowed away on an airplane cargo hatch thing. And this is Mikey doing Christmas. Also, we got Merry Christmas, y'all. Leonardo leads, Donatello does machines, Raphael is rude, and Michelangelo is